Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Alhamdulillah, on this occasion, I am able to meet face to face with you, even though it is a synchronous learning system. But I hope this situation does not reduce the meaning of autumn course, which organized by two universities, namely the Faculty of Industry Asas Tani, University Malaysia Kelantan, and the Faculty of Animal Husbandry Universitas Padjadjaran. I am very happy to be able to share my knowledge with students from Indonesia, Malaysia, or even other countries who are joining this autumn course. In this session, my team and I will present a subject related to agribusiness and case studies. Wait. Okay. Before I continue, describe what is agribusiness and case study of livestock sector in Indonesia, I would like to introduce my team first. Let me introduce my team. First, myself is Dr. Ahmad Firman. I would like to tell you about highlight agribusiness theory and cattle agribusiness. Second, Dr. Marina Solisiasi and Anita Fitriani, they would like to deliver to you about the cattle farmer institution. So Mr. Sahirul Alim and Dr. Lilis Nurlina will explain about the woman's role in food security. And then Dr. Muhammad Hasan, he will tell you about the competitiveness of local dairy cooperatives. Last, Dr. Andre Revianda Daud, Dr. Sony Kuswarian, and Cecep Firmansyah would explain about sheep production and its impact. All case studies conducted in Indonesia. We are from Department Social Economics, Livestock Development, Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran. I hope this subject can you understand about livestock sector in Indonesia, even though with the limited time. I hope this situation can inspire you to explore agribusiness in Indonesia and their respective countries. Okay, I don't want to talk too much. Let's start to run the learning. Okay, wait a moment. Okay, everybody who join in this course, either Indonesia or Malaysia or others, I believe that you fully understand about the term agribusiness. Okay, this term was first introduced by David Goldberg in 1957 to their book. The title is Concept of Agribusiness, printed by Harvard University. Talk about the concept of agriculture as an industry in and of itself, or as a distinct phase was appropriate 150 years ago, when the typical farm family not only raised crops and livestock only, but also produce its own draft animals, tools, equipment, fertilizer, and other production items, proceeds its own food and fiber, and retail in the community most of the excess above family needs. Then virtually all operations relating to growing, and then processing and storing and merchandising food and fiber were a function of the farm. This being the case, it was appropriate to think of all such things as within the scope of the meaning of the word agriculture. Basically, farming has changed from a subsistence to a commercial status in that now the progressive or farm family consumes only a fraction of what is grown. What is gross? The modern farmer is a specialist who largely confines his operation to growing crops and livestock. The function of storing and processing and distributing food and fiber have been transferred in uh, large measure to of the farm business entities. So actually, the paradigm of changing the name from agriculture to agribusiness started 18,000. At the time, agriculture was built by the farm family with the concept of self-sufficient or self-fulfillment. Then, 1930, the new technology emerged, which could save time and reduce labor. Finally, there was revolution in agricultural technology that focused on production efficiency and reduce labor, such as tractors, conveyor belt, and also in storage technology, processing technology, and distribution. Okay, so with this transformation, the era of agriculture as a concept self-sufficient has changed to agribusiness status that lead to the agricultural industry. Okay, the concept of agribusiness, which was coined Davis and Goldberg in 1957, began to spread throughout the world, including to Asia. Okay, let's look at the picture. Approximately 1960 in Asia. Let's talk about the agribusiness theory. What definition of agribusiness? I tried to take three definitions from agribusiness experts, including Davis and Goldberg. What Davis and Goldberg said that agribusiness is the sum total of operation involved in the manufacturing and distribution of farm supplies, production activities on farm, and the storage, processing, and distribution of farm commodities and items made from them. On the other hand, Donny and Erickson, agribusiness is a unit that includes all input of production, farming, processing, distribution, and sell product to final consumer. Meanwhile, another view was expressed by Suharjo in 1997 by adding supporting institution in the agribusiness system, where the supporting institutions are not mentioned by Davis and Goldberg definition. The supporting institution, including bank, research and development, university, certification bodies, health and halal institution, and so on. So you can see a picture of the agribusiness system recommended by Suharjo. In the illustration, it can be seen that the production input subsystem supply the material and technological inputs needed by the on-farm subsystem as well as the processing industry. And meanwhile, agricultural products can be proceed first in the processing industry and or can be sold directly to market. Of course, selling products from farm to market is the product that ready to eat, ready to cook, and ready to process. Livestock products such as egg, milk, and meat. Yes, egg, meat, and milk. All of them require processing first before eating. The concept of agribusiness that has been conveyed is only at glance. This is actually to lead to case studies that will be explained by Tim and me. The studies are result of research from its lectures and mostly studies conducted in Indonesia. Okay, I would like to bring to you next slide about the agribusiness, cattle agribusiness, beef cattle agribusiness in East Nusa Tenggara Province. Okay, the first case that I want to deliver to you, it is about cattle agribusiness in East Asia, in East Nusa Tenggara Province. This was the result of my research in East Nusa Tenggara Province related to beef cattle agribusiness in during 2 years. During 2 years. East Nusa Tenggara Province. Okay, where is okay? You can see that the map. East Nusa Tenggara Province is located in eastern Indonesia. The province is famous as cattle barn for Indonesia because this province supplies around 70,000 head of cattle per year to fulfill meat demand for Indonesia. In the past, I think in the past, it was about 1960s. Yes, live cattle has been exported to Hong Kong from East Nusa Tenggara. But the government of Indonesia at the time stopped the export to fulfill meat demand for domestic only. So smallholder has, of course, this the market situation changed. Government want to actors in Nusa Tenggara Province support for meat demand for Indonesia only, because we need meat more than supply. So the live cattle supply from East Nusa Tenggara Province can reduce the gap of meat import from Australia, from New Zealand, and other countries. So what the supplier for live cattle Indonesia from East Nusa Tenggara Province? Smallholder. Okay, smallholders has important role to supply live cattle for Indonesia in East Nusa Tenggara Province. Okay, talking about agribusiness, I try illustrate the map of cattle agribusiness. So the map of cattle agribusiness in East Nusa Tenggara Province. It is the same as what you had the definition about agribusiness system. All actors play a role in each subsystem agribusiness, such as farmers, processors, traders, and local government, banking, university, and so on. So all actors have activities from subsystem to support to each other. That's a good subsystem what has built by the government in East Nusa Tenggara Province to regulate the all subsystem agribusiness in East Nusa Tenggara Province. Okay, talking about cattle agribusiness. Sorry, talking about input production. Okay, most farmers hand over the maintenance of beef cattle to nature because cattle are released in the savannas and steppes. throughout the day. Savannas and steppes are able to provide feed for livestock. I analyzed data on feed availability in 3 regions, such as Kupang City, Kupang and Timur Tengah Utara, showing that the savannas and steppes can still accommodate 1 million cattle. I think this province deserves to be called cattle barn for Indonesia. Okay, next slide. We're talking about on-farm. Okay, we are talking about on-farm is dominated by smallholder producer who raise cattle, and only a few firms take a part of raising cattle. How farmers raise the cattle? As I talked before, farmers release cattle in the savannas and steppes all the day. The raising system, like it, is called extensive system. But sometimes farmers provide a place of shade for shelter and gathering. The existences of cattle actually it cannot be separated from rule of colonials who have introduced Ongol and Bali cattle to the people of East Nusa Tenggara province since 1912 and 1917. The meaning is cattle are a part of agricultural community in this province. Therefore, cattle benefits for farmers such as saving and culture, for wedding ceremony, of course, funeral and religious event. So religious event is for support to supply for Eid Adha, yes. Okay, we talked about livestock population, especially big animal like cattle, buffalo, and horse. Why cattle become a useful animal? Because of the benefits and number of population. You can see in the figure that the number of cattle population is more than buffaloes and horse. You can see that 1 million more of head of cattle compared to buffaloes and horse. I think why cattle is important for agricultural commodity in East Nusa Tenggara. So next slide, I would like to show you about the processing industry. Okay, it is about an industrial process of cattle. What I said before, that the livestock product must ready to process before to eat. So to produce meat, of course, live cattle must be sent to slaughterhouse. Then that provide hygiene cutting facilities and also guarantee the halalness of meat produced. There are 2 slaughterhouse in East Nusa Tenggara province, namely government slaughterhouse and private slaughterhouse. What is the product of the slaughterhouse is a carcass. So the carcass is important from the product from the slaughterhouse. Then this product must be safe and halal after cutting in slaughterhouse. Okay, next subsystem of agribusiness system is distribution channel. One important thing that cattle agribusiness in this province is live cattle distribution. Cattle, what raised by farmers, used to fulfill 2 markets, namely domestic market and inter-provincial market. In the domestic market, farmers sell live cattle to local trader and sending to wholesaler. And then before sending to slaughterhouse, and then wholesaler sending the cattle to slaughterhouse. After that, slaughterhouse, the product of slaughterhouse is carcass sent to traditional market and modern market. And then in the traditional market and modern market, the product can taste by end user or consumers to table. I think from the market to the table. And then another way of the domestic market, farmers can send to animal market, also local trader. From the animal market, some another trader buy the cattle from the animal market and then send to slaughterhouse, and the product sent to the carcass product sent to the traditional market, and then the end of the product is consumers. That is the illustration of the domestic market for live cattle. And next, I would like to talk about inter-provincial market. Farmers sell live cattle to local trader. Okay, and then local trader sell to wholesaler in NTT. I mean that the abbreviation of East Nusa Tenggara Province. And the wholesaler in the city for preparing distribution of live cattle through cattle shipping. So the government help and provides and of course subsidize the cattle shipping to make easy live cattle distribution out of East Nusa Tenggara. There are 3 ports. Wait, There are 3 ports to deliver live cattle out of province and 5 cattle shippings per week. So if you look at the data now, look at the data, you can see that the cattle shipping in the right hand, the cattle shipping, or the left side, we call toll out. So from the 3 ports, cattle supply to Java, then Kalimantan, and also Sulawesi Tenggara. So that's why Nusa Tenggara Province is very important for Indonesia to support food security, especially support meat demand from Indonesia for Indonesia. So the next slide is talk about live cattle market in East Nusa Tenggara Province. You can see that the domestic market, inter-provincial market, and total market. So in 2015 until 2020, you can see that the total market of live cattle, the average of the average of live cattle, total live cattle is about 130,000 head cattle per year. Okay, I'm going to the last subsystem. The last subsystem is supporting institution. Okay, supporting institution have important role to support the cattle agribusiness in East Nusa Tenggara Province, such as government, university, and so on. Sorry. The local government released the regulation to limit live cattle supply for market, and also prohibition of slaughtering female cattle to maintain cattle production. So banking support financial credit by providing government credit assistance with low interest rates. Meanwhile, university takes part in improving farmer skill. Last slide is conclusion. All in all, we talk about what I discussed before. Cattle are part of agricultural community in East Nusa Tenggara province. Cattle are source of livelihood for farmers, especially as a support for the household economy. The cattle agribusiness system has been developed generation to generation. So that is the short of agribusiness theory and case study of cattle agribusiness in East Nusa Tenggara province. Next, other case studies from my colleagues will be displayed. Then I would like to say thank you very much for to watching my subject. I hope you can learn much about the agribusiness, cattle agribusiness, for especially in Indonesia. And I hope you are well and have a nice day. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Marina Sulistiati. I am from Laboratory of Social and Extension, Department of Social Economy, Animals Boundary, Universitas Padjadjaran. I am glad to meet all of you by asynchronous. I would like to say thanks to the organizing committee and all participants of 2022 virtual summer course organized by University Malaysia Kelantan and Universitas Padjadjaran Indonesia. I hope you are all excited to listen to the topic that I will convey. On this occasion, I will deliver a lecture about institution group farming. This lecture is divided into 3 parts. I will to share screen. My title is Role of Pasundan Cattle Farming Institution in Supporting Food Security in West Java. This lecture is divided into 3 parts. First, we are going to have an introduction, and then Pasundan Cattle Group Farmer. Lastly, the institutional role of Pasundan Cattle Farmer. First, introduction. Institutions are defined as a rules of the game, norms, prohibition, contracts, policies, and regulation or laws that regulate and control of a person behavior, but both individually in society and in organization. Aminawar 2018. Farmer group institution rules in farmer group that regulate members to be able to cooperate with each other in achieving goals. These rules consist of formal rules such as regulation, laws, constitution, and informal rules such as social norms, convention, custom, value system, and the process of enforcing these rules. These rules were created by human a good order to reduce uncertainty in the exchange process. Aminawar et al. 2018. There are 3 institutional functions. First, profit behavioral guidelines to individuals or communities. Secondly, maintain integrity. And third, profit guidance to the community to exercise social control. The role of farmer institution is not only as a preventive measure to minimize business risk, but also aims to develop livestock business as an effort to support community welfare. There are two factor binding and limiting farmer institution. First, norms. Secondly, formal and informal rules as control of social behavior in order to achieve common goals. Groups are an important part of institution. Thus, group must be an important concept. Let's move on the second part of this lecture. We are going to talk about cattle group farmer, Pasundan Cattle Group. The Pasundan Cattle Group has the potential to be a right forum for the West Java local cattle development program if managed properly. Farmer groups play an important role in supporting the development process of Pasundan cattle. It is hoped that a better pattern of rearing can be formed. Conditions in the field indicate that the role of the group is not optimal. Next slide about group dynamic. Group dynamic as a method and process is one of the management tools to produce optimal group collaboration. So the organizational management becomes more effective, efficient, and productive. As a method, group dynamic makes each group member more aware of who he is and the other people who are present with him in the group with all their respective advantage and disadvantage. Santosa 2009. Group dynamics can be said as a pattern of interaction between members of one group with other group members reciprocally and between group members as a whole. While the group is a group of people who interact with each other regularly, who for a certain period of time, and they assume that a sense of interdependence arise with each other. Winardi 2007. Group dynamic can be analyzed through 8 elements. First, namely group goals. Second, group structure. Third, group task function. Fourth, group development. Fifth, group cohesiveness. Sixth, group atmosphere. Seven, group pressure. And the last, group effectiveness. All elements of this dynamic are based on the strength possessed by member in the group, such as self-confidence that being part of the group is not forced, and the types of activity and clear. Then believe that the group leader is chosen by mutual agreement for all group members to obey. Based on this strength, emerge the basis for development Pasundan cattle. Pasundan cattle, Ministry of Agriculture of Republic of Indonesia, number 101/KPTS SR 120/10/2014 established the Pasundan cattle clump as one of the wealth of local genetic resource in West Java. Pasundan cattle are local cattle farmers from West Java, including the Bosondaikus breed, which are the result of adaptation of more than 10 generations between Bosondaikus, Banteng, Bali cattle, and Java cattle, Madura cattle, and also Sumba Ongol cattle. Pasundan cattle are local cattle that have their own advantage, including resistant to tropical disease, especially parasite, resistant to thirst, being able to utilize existing feed, resistant to stress of weather change, and having a short reproductive cycle. In addition, as a meat producer, it has advantages such as efficiency in maintenance, high carcass percentage, and good meat quality. West Java, as a national beef consumer area, face problem with the high demand for beef. Therefore, Pasundan cattle is one solution to meet the demand for meat. Okay, I want to explain about Pasundan cattle farmer social profile. Figure 1 and figure 2 show about respondent. Figure 1 about uh, age respondent. The results show that the eight characteristic of Pasundan cattle farmer over 40 years were 59%, while those aged under 40 years were only 41%. This means that is fear that there will be difficult in the generation in the sustainability of the Pasundan cattle business. This is because young people in the village are no longer interested in doing cattle business. Suwarno 2001 quote by Luan Mase 2011 state that a good level of education will tend to be easy to receive new information in good farming techniques, in addition to providing a positive response to every progress of livestock business. It is also more mature to solve any problem it faces. This condition is one of the fundamental weakness for livestock development. This is because the low level of education will make it difficult for farmers to adopt technology. Morwanto 2008 state that the low level of education for farmer will be an inhibiting factor in the process of adopting innovation and technology in beef cattle farming. Respondent education show that uh, most of respondent element and position and elementary school. It means that uh, formal education is not matched by an adequate level of livestock farming experience. Because if you look at their experience in livestock farming, it turns out that 65% of respondents have experience under 10 years and 35% above 10 years. Afriani et al. 2014 sufficient experience in raising livestock directly. This condition is also expected to be vulnerable to livestock development in West Java. This condition is also supported by condition that only 39% of farmer work in group, while 61% them work alone. Table 2 show that criteria of Pasundan cattle business profile. Criteria ownership scale average 3.97 animal unit. Business pattern independent 81.91% and contract farming 18.9%. Maintenance system extensive and semi-intensive. Marketing by seller or belantik. Business system joint venture. Business orientation side job. Transaction estimate and payments pattern 20% cash and 80% installment. Okay, I will describe about dimension of role of farmers. First, livestock culture value. Secondly, social structure, and third, and the last part, pattern of social relation. The value of livestock show that the farmer understand livestock as wealth and saving and are used as a mainstay to make ends meet. Although some informant only have one until three cattle ownership, but this business is already the main livelihood, life support, and also a sizable income for farmers. The institutional role of Pasundan cattle farmers, livestock ownership can reflect of the social structure of the farmer in the community, that the more profit that will be obtained will increase the status and role farmers. Most of the status of farmers as ordinary citizens who do not hold certain roles or position, but by joining as group member, their role increase because there are respondent as group member who have access to livestock business guidance and information about livestock management. Okay, thank you for your attention. Even though is it is short, but I hope this lecture could help you to understand about institution and farmer group dynamic in West Java. If you have any question or comment, please tell me on the forum discussion set on learning management system. I'm glad having you all on my lecture. I will see you next time. Stay happy and healthy. Thank you all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining in this course. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sahrul Alim. I am a senior lecturer at Laboratory of Sociology and Extension, Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran. On this equation, I will present a paper made by both of us, Dr. Lilis Tunulina and I, and the title of paper is Women's Role in Food Security, Case Study on Dairy Farming in Indonesia. Okay, I will show you some picture and you try to guess what is in the picture. Okay, this is the first picture. What do you see in this picture? A woman who is feeding her child. Okay, the second picture is a woman who is walking in the fields holding her child. And the third is a woman drying rice while carrying her child. And the fourth, a woman who is cooking. All these pictures show to us the role of a woman in our society. Yeah. As we know that women have so many rules, yeah, and this rule often have to run together, both as a mother, as a worker, maybe as a female worker, and anything else. So if we notice, there are three roles in rural woman. First, domestic rules or reproductive rules. The second is productive rules, and the third, social role. Domestic roles is that women responsible for almost all domestic activities like cooking, firewood collection, family care, cleaning, preparing for her husband, and washing and anything else. And the productive roles, it related to the productive activity that can produce an income like farming, livestock, aquaculture, or farm income generating activities, wage labor, and home gardening. And the social role, the women is assisting the delivery of health service in village, preparing food during community service, cooking for social activities, etc. All of this is a role of rural women in our society. Of course, women is the role of women is very important, and it cannot be separated from the roles of farmer women. Yeah, women are involved in food security, involved in production activities on farm, processing the food distribution. They not only produce food but also become the main person who are responsible for the nutritional needs of all family members, according to Yulianti et al. 2015. And we knew that from various research results that women are factor determinant of food security for their families, starting from the production process on the land agriculture, marketing to providing food and the dinner table, and be responsible in fulfilling family nutrition so that women have a very significant contribution important for family food security. So rural women play a key role in supporting their household and communities in achieving food and nutrition security, generating income, and improving rural livelihood and overall well-being. Food security itself defined it as a situation that exists when all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. Food security has basic elements: availability and accessibility. To achieve resilient food for everyone, access at all times to the food needed to healthy and productive life, then the requirement for food availability and accessibility must be met community members for food. All community member must be is easy to access the food, and the food is must available every day needed. Women in dairy farming. Dairy farming in Indonesia are mostly small scale. It's just around 3 to 5 herds, and it's with zero grazing. Most of Indonesian farmer or most of dairy farmer uh, don't have land from grazing or land from for grass, and it's one of the biggest problem in dairy farmer Indonesia. And milk production level and productive performance below potential. The production of milk is just 9 to 11 liter per per cow. So this condition resulted in low of level income, so that the husband must looking for another job to additional income, and this condition implicated to the women or wife must involve in various jobs, especially taking care of dairy cows. So the potential of women in agriculture development is very strategic. Even contribution income of women in rural and agriculture to household income is very big. 20 million heads of farmer families in Indonesia most of them are women, wives or mothers who are also involved in the agricultural sector. Smallholder farmer in Indonesia, yeah, women are taking care of the cows milk production on a daily basis. Next to the other stay-at-home duties in agriculture, women are responsible for the household and perform family caring tasks. The male responsibility when and if he is present is mostly to collect feed and offer physical support to milking. Spouses often work as a team in farming system with the children as incidental labor force. These women can be considered the most important actor in improving milk quality and quantity. So women are important actor. Women are important actors in smallholder farmer milk production in Indonesia. If we observe the rural farmer in the role of female farmer, especially in dairy farming in food security, there are two impact, two role, direct and indirect. The direct, they are female farmers who process the milk produce product into various types of dairy food for their families, and indirect role of female farmers in food security is helping his husbands carry out all dairy farming activities. Okay, direct role. Several female farmers or wife of farmers process milk into various dairy products such as yogurt. They make a yogurt, they make milk candy, kefir, milk chocolate, and so on for personal consumption or for their children, or most of them is sell to be sell in the cooperative, sell in the school, and in anything else. So this is the direct rule. A female or women in dairy farming in terms of food security. So many of female farmer uh, process their milk or they into various dairy product. And the second, indirect rules. Yeah. Women also feeding cows, milking the cows, delivering milk to the Koperasi unit desa or cooperative agricultural cooperative, and looking for grass, cleaning the equipment, cleaning the pens. All of this job, all of this job is uh, have indirect role or part of indirect role because uh, they try to help her husband uh, uh, to take care their cow. So the conclusion are women are important actor in smallholder farmer milk production, and the role of women in food security in dairy farming is both direct and indirect. Okay, the last for this course is a question: what should the government do to increase the direct role of women dairy farming in milk processing? That's our question. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye bye.
I'm going to talk about the dairy sector. We are focusing on the topics related to production and policy issues in moving the sector sustainable. Talking about dairy agriculture is also talk about not only business activity, but we require understand the supporting aspect that makes the system work. such as agriculture organizations, government policies, regulations, including dairy cooperatives. This topic raises 5 issues. The first is business activities, major commodities, cooperatives for SMF or small and medium farmers, output markets, and dairy policies. The dairy sector involves various business activities. They construct a system of agribusiness from upstream to downstream. We can see in the diagram that the dairy farming and the cooperatives are a little part of the business activities in the whole system. Dairy agribusiness activities can be divided into 3 sector categories or subsystems. The first is input sectors. The second is primary or on-farm sector. And the third is output sector. The diagram is a government's perspective, where the government in this context is a Directorate General of Livestock and Animal Health Services, play main role in moving the system works. This picture is an illustration of several activities in the agribusiness. There are 3 lines. The first line represents the input sector activities. We identify 2 main inputs, namely replacement cows or heifers and the concentrate feed with storage in the barn. In the second is on-farm or primary activities, where the feed is converted by the cows to produce milk. And the third is an output subsystem, covering milk distributions, processing, and marketing milk product. Talking about the dairy sector, we talk about the major commodities, namely, first, milk and milk product, and then dairy cattle and cattle feed. Feed, it could be either forage or grain or a mixture of both. It is the direct input that will be converted into milk, as well as produce energy for maintenance the cow's body conditions. For commercial purpose, this input must be considered by the farmer because it will be directly determine business profit. Around 70 to 80% of the total cost is allocated for purchasing the feed. Dairy cows is the main asset, like a processor machine. Dairy cow is a biological machinery that converts feed to fresh milk. The farmer should ensure the animals are herd to keep producing milk. Milk is the main product. Fresh milk is produced and sold by farmers daily. Cooperative is responsible to facilitate the farmer to deliver the fresh milk up to the buyers. that we see, its unit activity needs people who manage resource, control, and manage the business. They are dairy farmers, input suppliers, medical workers, milk processors, traders, etc. This human resources is a key factor that will bring the dairy sector to develop. They contribute to enhance the sector having more feed, more dairy cows, and more milk produced. In Indonesia case, the main problem facing dairy sector is the limiting of agricultural resources that makes their business size is hard to increase to reach an economic of farm size. The farmers, on average, have a small number of cows, causing milk production and income is low. This condition did not give a sufficient incentive for farmers to improve good dairy practices. They have limited agricultural resources, especially land, to provide forage. They also have limited capital for upgrading agricultural equipment and machinery. To sell the milk they produced, is required collective marketing to increase their bargaining position against the milk processor industry. In Indonesia, there are around 120,000 households have dairy cows. As a cooperative members, mostly they keep raising the cows as a major livelihood asset. Milk markets for the dairy sectors can divide by two areas. First, the domestic market, and the second is global market. There is a wide gap between consumer demand and local producer supply in milk domestic markets. This condition is an opportunity for local producer or local farmer to dominate the market. The fact the domestic market is fueled by import milk. Local milk contributes only 80% of the total demand. Global market. Since 1998, over the last 25 years, the Indonesian government has ratified global agreement in terms of trade. World Trade Organizations gradually and start to open the domestic market for import goods, including milk and milk products. Imported milk become the real competitor for local farmers because the industrial milk processor has only two options: buying local fresh milk or import processed milk. Cooperative or COOP. Cooperative is a business organization which is owned and run jointly by its members who share the profits or benefits. Cooperatives members are mutual assistance in working toward a common goals. Every member has a clearly defined task in a cooperative enterprises. A cooperative is a legal entity owned and democratically controlled by its member. Every cooperative could be registered as a formal organization approved or legalized by the government. There are different types of cooperatives, namely producer cooperative, agricultural cooperative, consumers, finance, retailer cooperatives, etc. An agricultural cooperative, also known as a farmer cooperative, is a cooperative in which farmers pool their resources in certain area of activity. Dairy cooperatives are agricultural cooperatives because it is part of the food sector. The members are mostly dairy farmers. They produce the same products, they get the same dairy services from the cooperatives. Why should join a cooperative? There are some advantages for one or small farmer to join cooperative as individual or collective objectives. The advantage is increased purchasing power. Collective buying increases the company's purchasing power and cuts its costs. Lower cost of services. For example, one does not have to buy a transportation unit for getting input service and cell milk yield. 3. Reach and further market. Cooperative can make contracts over the selling and price with buyers. Transfer of skill and knowledge. Relationship among members, not only in livestock business but also they can enhance relationship for benefiting a wider aspect such as information, informal education, religions, and other aspects of social life. Political advantage. The government, either executive or legislative, commonly interests with a formal organization with youth membership to integrate it with their program or political mission. Dairy policies. The first policy is increasing production efficiency by clustering the dairy farming with innovation dairy services. The first, the farmers of cooperatives members place in one cluster production area with 500 to 600 head of dairy cows. The second, one cluster is a single services unit integrated with the unit of feed supply and milk collection point. The third, in the case of limited land for forage, the cluster should be in cooperation with a farmer group in another region. They supply forage through a partnership system in a territorial integration system. The second policy is control population and replacement stock. Dairy cows is a main asset for milk production. In most cases, the small farmer is limited to increase the number of dairy cows. It is require a control system for the dairy cattle population. So, first is develop cow replacement services unit. The second is farmers extension in animal health services. The third is cattle insurance services. The fourth, trade regulation for dairy cattle. And the fifth, empower farmers group to organize controlling cattle population inside their cluster. The third is strengthen cooperatives' bargaining positions. It is required for the government supporting small farmers to develop mutually beneficial partnership with the milk processor industry. Develop of school milk program. supported by local government or school stakeholder that incorporates the local dairy cooperatives.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. Welcome to this class. This is a part of Autumn Course Series years 2022. I'm happy to be here to take a part of this event because this is a huge opportunity for us to have broaden our network and also to have another college from abroad, especially from Malaysia. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Andre Daud. I'm a lecturer at the Faculty of Animal Husbandry, Universitas Padjadjaran. For my background, I graduated from animal science at here in my university, and I took a master's and also PhD in agricultural economic at another university. My major interest is in economic modeling, and I often use system dynamic and also agent-based modeling to do my academic work. Brief introduction to my department. My department is socioeconomic, where I have a small team that share common interests with me. You can see their picture here from the left to the right. There is Pak Sondi Kuswarian. He is my senior and also my teacher when I was undergraduate back then. And also there's Pak Cecep Firmansyah. He is my partner in discussing everything, almost everything. Okay, what do I do in my campus? Yeah, beside teaching, we often do research and also community outreach. In Indonesian, community outreach mean pengabdian kepada masyarakat, doing freelance job, yeah, to help people. In fact, this pengabdian masyarakat is kind of obligation for us as a member of university. And also sometimes we feel that we don't do much for agricultural community. Yeah, we haven't do much effort to help the agricultural community, and therefore we are committed to use our capacity to help them in any way. Okay. By the way, we have our own jargon in the department. You can see there is a logo in the left of your screen. We believe that the livestock or the animal is for prosperity. Livestock is for prosperity for all, I think. And why we come out with this jargon? Yeah, it is because now the world tend to see the animal of agriculture, or I should say livestock, is mainly source of food for consumers, right? While it is true, we sometimes forget that livestock also have another values, yeah. As a tools, for example, as a tools for some people, especially disadvantaged people, yeah, like in the remote areas, in the rural areas, and they use livestock as a means for improving their well-being. I think that is for the introduction. The rest of the topic will be about the current approach in understanding farmers, especially who have a disadvantaged situation. In more general terms, we will talk about the poverty. Yeah. Okay. Since given limited time to present this topic, I hope I can deliver this topic clearly in such a short video that I'll make. My topic today is the sustainable livelihood approach. Maybe some of you have heard this approach while might be new for the rest of us. This approach is often used by those who working in developing countries, for example, for rural development or poverty alleviation. Actually, this approach has been around since 2000, but has only been widely used recently. So, on this event, I would like to share with you all about this approach. I believe this approach is not often discussed in campus because in campus we usually talk about the various theories, for example, economics, while this approach is more practical in nature. But I believe that soon, as more and more people use this approach, it can become more theoretical. Okay, on this opportunity also, I will share some of our research finding in regard to this approach. This research is to test whether the approach can be used to produce recommendation for a particular development program. In fact, the research results show that this approach is indeed feasible to be employed as the main methodology to assist any development program. So, this is my brief outline for the topics. First of all, we will discuss about the theory of sustainable livelihood. Please note that the theory is in apostrophe. It means that that is not really theory, but anything that underline this framework. And second, I will discuss about livelihood strategy, which is the main topic of this discussion. And the last, we have, I will share about the empirical work in the context of sustainable livelihood. Okay, here is our first question in this topic. What is exactly the sustainable livelihood approach? From the name, it is an approach. Approach for what? Approach for understanding poverty, right? This approach adopts a distinctive perspective on understanding of poverty and how to design intervention to improve the condition of people living in poverty. Yeah. If we compare to another approach, this mainstream research on poverty has often few people as a uniform group. They are all the same, and they are vulnerable. Vulnerable people in need. They always need something. Yeah. But in contrast, this approach shows that the poor men and women are in fact active agents who make rational decisions and choice about their lives. Yeah, they can do something, and in response to social and economic change. Yeah, it is a rather different assumption, different approach with the another mainstream of understanding the poverty. Okay, many scholars, many researchers identify the strength of the sustainable livelihood approach, includes that with this approach we can understand the realities of people living in poverty, including the different dimensions of their lives and the way they come together to form coping strategies. Yeah, coping strategies, how to deal with risk, how to deal with the poverties. Yeah, coping strategies. And with this approach, we can also build up a holistic picture of people's lives that includes their capacities, skills, health, social networks, and access to services, as well as their financial situation. And the most important thing, I think, this approach starts from the positive assets that people have rather than focusing on what they do not have. This is the main difference with another mainstream. Yeah, another mainstream always focus on what poor people do not have. Yeah, but in this approach, we focus on what poor people have and how can we help them, yeah, with their assets. Yeah, that is the difference. Let's jump forward to the end. What is the sustainable livelihood for the poor anyway? We believe, or we can imagine, that the poor are resilient in the face of external shocks and stresses. Yeah, that is the ideal condition. And also they are not dependent upon the external support. Yeah, they are being themselves, and also they can maintain the long-term productivity of natural resources, especially in the rural, yeah, where the rural people usually depends on the natural endowments, yeah, to derive the benefit for their living. So we arrive at the most important concept in sustainable livelihood approach. Here we have capital. What is that actually? Okay, the ability to pursue livelihood strategies, especially for the poor people, depends on people's basics, material and social, whether it is tangible or intangible assets. Yeah. Like in economics, we can see resource as a capital base from which different productive streams are derived, right? For example, the natural capital. I'm sure that you are familiar with this kind of capital. Clearly that this capital is very important to those who derive all or part of their livelihood from resource-based activities like farming, fishing, gathering woods in forests, even mineral extraction. Okay. And we know also that many of the shocks that destroy the livelihood of the poor are from the natural process also, like flood or earthquake that destroy agricultural land, or seasonality that depress the productivity of crop, for example, and etc. So we have to be sure that the natural capital have a very close relationship with the poverty. The second is human capital. It is individual or household characteristic that important for the successful of pursuit of different livelihood strategies. Yeah. In fact, the human capital is required in order to make use of any of the four other types of asset. The third is social capital. By definition, the social capital is the social resources upon which people draw when pursuing different livelihood strategies requiring coordinated action. Yeah. Easy example is social relation that we can easily find in rural area, association like farmers group, affiliation or networks in the urban area. Okay, another capital is financial capital that denotes the financial resource that people use to achieve their objective. And the last is physical capital. Many study or assessment have found that a lack of particular types of infrastructure is considered to be core dimension of poverty. Yeah. For example, without transportation or without transport infrastructure, Maybe essential fertilizer cannot be distributed effectively and agricultural yields remain low, and it is then difficult and expensive to transport limited produce to the market. So that is the 5 types of capital that uh, to be a center of the sustainable livelihood approach. So this is the framework used to understand the sustainable livelihood. And maybe you ask what is meant by these pictures and arose anywhere. Okay, the framework has three main components. Basically, it is livelihood capital, livelihood strategy, and also livelihood outcomes. So I will give you an easy example. In short, everyone has their capital. We can be on campus at this time because we have the capital, usually our brain, yeah, as a human capital, and also money for tuition fees, that is the financial capital. And we also have a target and outcomes to aim. Yeah, for example, we want to graduate from our campus. So with these capitals, we try our best to combine it, combine the asset and the capital, and to do what we do in this college and finally graduate. That is the strategy. So there is no different with the farmers. They also have capital, combining it to fulfill their life outcomes. Uh, why I arise this kind of example? This has something to do with when we talk about the farmer development programs or rural development. Many research that con, that conducted for it usually does not use this approach. For example, we often conduct research on the efficiency of agricultural production by farmers, and almost all of the study results show that the smallholder is inefficient, and this inefficiency is considered a source of rural poverty. Is that true? I believe that the farmers are not inefficient, but that is their strategy. Yeah, that is the result of combining their asset. So inefficiency is only in our perspective, but indeed the farmers is very efficient in their perspective. Okay, it's time for me to introduce the research being carried out. One research we did was in a rural area on Java Island. You can see the map there. This place is in Sukabumi Regency, 4 hours from our campus, so far enough, and 3 hours to Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia. As you can see, this area is located on the slope of Mount Halimun, where the mountain area is an area protected by the state of Indonesia. Therefore, for the consequences, people living in this area have limited land, especially when they want to expand their agricultural business. In this edition, many of them do not own agricultural land, either because it was sold or because they didn't have it before. So, if we look the national statistics, this area belongs to the poorest area in West Java. Although not in the absolute terms, many live close to the poverty line. And various government programs have also been implemented in this area, but the results have not yet been seen. This research is motivated by sustainable livelihood mindset. We believe that poverty in this area is caused by limited asset or capital owned by the farmers. So we need to find out which capital is limited, and then We are also looking for suitable intervention instrument for the rural communities. In this research, we also strong believe that livestock has multiple functions. We just know that livestock is played as a provider of food sources. However, if we look further at how the livestock are raised by the community, they make it an asset to derive income, right? The advantage of core is that livestock does not require too much land, especially when we talk about small ruminants like sheep, goats, or chicken. So, in principle, uh, when the poor have various capital limitation, livestock can be one of the component to increase the value of that capital. And livestock can also be the primary strategy for household to survive. This is one of the results of our research. Can you interpret this? This chart shows the income distribution of the sample household in the study area. We try to compare their income from crop farming and also from the livestock keeping. And this is the result. It is quite interesting. This chart can be interpreted like this. Households that do not own agricultural land or do not have any access to the land tend to raise sheep for a variety of purposes. Meanwhile, the higher the people have land or access to the land, the lower livestock that they are raising, right? This chart can show that in the case of poor people in the study area, sheep are valuable capital to live their lives. By raising sheep, they can align themselves with other village communities who happen to have access to agriculture through the income they earn. This result also confirm that livestock are not only a financial source for those who keep them, but also for other purposes such as social and environmental. Okay, this table shows the contribution of sheep farming to the sample revenue. And based on their contribution, sheep farming can be regarded as an additional enterprise for whatever business the farmer do. And based on the mutual agreement, a business is said to be an additional enterprise if the income contribution earned is less than 30%. A joint enterprise is a complementary business. In a household like this, if one of these business does not run well, the family will experience an income deficit and suffer in meeting life's necessities. And the last one is the primary enterprise, where all the income comes from raising sheep. So, what is the pattern we got here? As you can see, we have the pattern reversed here. It means that poor household make raising sheep as their primary strategy in living their lives. And this is indicated by the significant portion of contribution of that sheep. And meanwhile, for non-poor families, sheep are only complement to increase their existing income. So from this finding, we can understand that livestock value is relatively different for each farmer or each household. For those who do not have capital, livestock is the most valuable capital for life. Meanwhile, as we discussed earlier, livestock is only commodity worth money for those who may still have various capital. But in the end, we can be sure that livestock, in this case sheep, can be an instrument of intervention in alleviating poverty. Thus, livestock has enormous potential to contribute to the development programs of poverty alleviation, especially in developing countries. This is my last slide. The topic of sustainable livelihood approach might be new for undergraduate students in both in our campuses, but it is worth starting to be more holistic in understanding farmers, especially smallholder farmers, and also in farm poverty or rural poverty. In fact, livestock serve more than just source of food that we need in our lives. We cannot value livestock as just a commodity, but also as an asset or capital. This asset for some people is more valuable than the food itself. So, in fact, I was only given a short time to cover a topic that was actually very, very in depth. And I did my best to be able to bring up this topic, even though I believe the results were not optimal. This topic is crucial, especially for those interested in poverty alleviation. I don't know the case in Malaysia, but it has become necessary in Indonesia. Not because there is still a lot of poverty in Indonesia, but related to the effectiveness of livestock development program or rural development program, etc. So in my view, many of these programs are mistargeted because this program does not understand the pure characteristic of the farmer's household. Okay, and if you look at it, the program here tends to only focus on the production side. This is dangerous. Farmers are considered as a fully commercial business entities. They are regarded as food producing machines that must be able to produce as much as possible to meet the food needs of the many people. The result is that Indonesians remain a large-scale importer of plastic product while the number of farmers continues to decline. Okay, folks, that's what I can give you. I will gladly accept your question. Don't hesitate to contact me via email or via WhatsApp. See you again on another occasion.